Hello, this is Dr. Jason Munsell. It is Monday, April 17th, about 1 o'clock. Hope that you are having a wonderful day. Hope you had a wonderful Easter. We got 2 more weeks, actually less than 2 weeks, since senior grades are due next Wednesday. And I'm hoping at some time early next week you'll have your movie up. Hopefully the previous, and remember the forums and tweeting, but all will be well. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to watch the lecture from in several different parts from last week when I was talking about all this stuff in my class, in my face-to-face class. My printer is being weird. And if you don't understand the process, please let me know. But I want it to be fun, and everybody's going to get full credit on this because I know it's something new, and it's just it's just to have a little bit of fun. And also, if you saw my my most recent email, you can work with somebody else and do one film, one movie, and it would count for both of you. That's fine if you want to work with somebody else. That's super cool. And in fact, I mentioned that in the syllabus. But it's if you reflect on it a little bit, it's really interesting, all the various things that you are learning or potentially learning with this particular assignment. I wrote down just a few things. Critical thinking skills, because you got to figure out what critical point that you want to make. Creative thinking, narrative skills, how to think about the plot of the initial movie and then how to redo all that type of stuff. Organizational skills, scene writing and dialogue. I mean, this is not a film class per se, but you are learning some of that stuff. You have to write, here's a scene, here are the characters, here's what folks are saying. Blocking skills, which comes from theater, but is, blocking. Where do you want people to stand in the scenes? I know in the little thing that we put together in our class, we're just sort of ad-libbing and improvising, which is stuff that we oftentimes do as well. But the whole filmmaking pre and post production idea, that is before all this, how are you going to put it together, and then trying to edit stuff. And of course, when I do it, I just sort of use my iMovie, and whatever the scenes were, I just put them in order, as you hopefully saw from the previous lecture. And if you're working with groups, you're learning teamwork skills and group skills and all that type of stuff. So lots of stuff going on here. But my idea is that you will need to create a YouTube account. It's free, and upload your video to YouTube. And this is a common practice. A lot of people do this throughout the country. That is, upload various presentations or whatever to YouTube. You can have a private setting if you only want certain people to see it, so it doesn't necessarily have to be public. If you just want me to see it and nobody else, that's absolutely fine with me. My idea is that you would open it up to other people in the class. And I have already created a forum page or new topic where once your movie is up, you can put the link right there, and it should just be like my lectures, right? You just click on it and there it is. And ideally, we would watch each other's movies and maybe say a few things about it, about each. But we'll see what happens. But again, full credit just so long as you do it. And you're figuring a lot of this stuff out, because I know that I've heard from a lot of you. You're sort of Googling stuff and trying to figure out a few things on your own, that's how this process works. That's how I did it. I just sort of figured it out. But what I wanted to say just a little bit here is not about sweeting per se, but some of the last things that I wanted to say. Oh, by the way, I would hope that people are asking me about deadlines. Again, for seniors, your grades are due Wednesday, I believe, at 5 o'clock. Now, this Wednesday, the following Wednesday, if you're graduating. If not, I can give you a few more days, but ideally you would take care of this pretty quickly. So maybe early next week, Monday or Tuesday, everything is up, and you've gone back and you've done all the threads and the tweets that you need or want to do, and we'll call it a semester. Woo! But going back to this new stuff, I put in the syllabus that I wanted to spend the latter part of the semester, last week, talking about issues of media literacy and fake news and all that type of stuff. And I basically just put a bunch of links on Facebook not Facebook, on KC for you, that I'll let you look through. But this stuff is so incredibly important. So what I have here is just the first thing, and it's under the tab Media Literacy and Fake News, because I'm so damn clever. Just what media literacy is. And it is, there's a theme here, the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create media in various forms. Remember, media is plural for medium, but oftentimes when we think about media, we think about, mass production type media, social media, CMC generally, and all that type of stuff. And actually, this one talks about the importance of this type of education. This is from the Center for Media Literacy, but it has all these different things that you can look at if you want more information. Like, for instance, there are, where would I see it? Language and media, philosophy of terms, history of media education, 18 basic principles of media awareness. There is a definition, a Canadian definition of media literacy. The Canadian definition is you just add A. So, media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create media in a variety of forms, eh? Actually, what's the Canadian definition? It's concerned with, same stuff. So, just so you know what media literacy is, and then there is and this, in a way, this is what we've been doing throughout the entire semester. You have been gaining media literacy. This other thing that I have here, just more on media literacy, is from the National Association for Media Literacy Education, or NAMLE. And again, it just offers us the basic definition. Media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act using all forms of communication. In the simplest terms, media literacy builds upon the foundation of traditional literacy and offers new forms of reading and writing. And then it talks about all this terminology, visual, messages, digital, all this type of stuff, and then has a broader definition that I will look at. But it boils down to this: the ability to access media and information, because it's important that you access information. We've been talking about that throughout the entire semester. How do you get information about medical stuff or whatever? So access. But it's easy to access stuff, particularly when you're online. It's harder to analyze this stuff. So what's really going on here? What messages are they offering? And then evaluating it, right? Is this good information? Is this bad information? Is this real? Is this fake? And then, of course, creating your own stuff, which is what you're doing with Sweeting, and, of course, what you're doing with tweeting, and what you're doing with the forums. And then say ACT here, which I think is interesting, that, going back to the pillars of intellectual life that we talked about, we do want to liberate ourselves from the chains of oppression by acting with media. So some interesting things to think about, sort of big picture stuff. The specifics is the fake news stuff. This it's just crazy. And by the way, I'll be brief here. So there's lots of stuff out there about fake news. I have a link there from our library about this. You can watch sort of both of those. But I think it's really interesting. The second one here is a little bit shorter. Talks about how fake news becomes viral and all that type of stuff, and how even pretty credible news sources are not terribly critical when they are getting stuff, and that people are sort of dumb. I think he says that.
But you take a look at that. That's just sort of what's going on so far as how it all gets disseminated. I think the more important thing to me is for you to how to spot it, because it's all over the place. And so I have this pretty recent little article here from factcheck.org, which is part of the Annenberg Public Policy Center. And there's a lot of stuff in here, and I'll let you read it. But some things to think about.
Consider the source, even though the credible sources oftentimes are not considering their sources. They just, because they want to make money.
So it talks about how they have fact-checked fake news from NBC, Boston Tribune, all these things. But there are some sites that are
strategically and intentionally fake and sort of parody
stuff. And so it talks about, warnings. Pope Francis shocks the world, endorses Donald Trump for president, releases statement. So it's like that is sort of funny. But sometimes you go, yeah, that can't be true. But sometimes, But in any case, they have a list here of fake news websites. So don't fall for it if you're getting information from a particular source, and it's National Report, World News Daily Report, Hustlers. I don't even know what that is. Ew, that's gross. Whatever that is. Empire News, Stupid, News Examiner, Newswatch. All these things are hoaxes. They're not real. So take a look at those. And if you ever see something on Facebook and somebody goes, "Oh, the Stately Herald said blah blah blah," it's fake. It's a hoax. I mean, some people try to spread fake news and hoaxes to influence things. Other people just want to see how stupid people are. But so